Good morning, everyone. I'm calling the meeting to order. This is the Wednesday, January 14th meeting of the Marine and Environmental Resource Task Force Advisory Committee for the town of Fort Myers Beach. And with that, I would like everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. First order of business is roll call. Todd Zaccarelli.
Here.
Here.
Sharon Ekstrom.
Here.
Rob Howell here.
Ed Root.
Here.
Dave Nussbaum is here. Jennifer Rusk is on a personal leave. And Bill Altoff is traveling and hopefully trying to link in. But we do have a quorum established. So this is an official meeting of the MERTF Committee. With that, we have had a request from a committee member to amend the agenda. So with that, I'll turn it over to Rob.
I would like to make a motion to add an item to the agenda to discuss the helicopter tours that are trying to be ran out of Estero Bay or by the Bird Island over by Matanzas Pass Bridge.
Okay, and I will second that for discussion only with the proviso that I believe we have asked the president of the helicopter to address the helicopter company to attend and address the committee directly. And we would also like the town to have the ability to address the committee directly outside of the public comment. Is there any objection from anyone on the committee?
No.
Okay, with that, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Thank you, everyone. With that, we now have to approve the previous meeting minutes. Okay, I'll get through that. All right. This is from our Wednesday, December 10th meeting. And Sharon, I believe you had a question on that.
I do. I've asked Chad, but it's saying that the hazardous waste event is scheduled for February 24th, but in my calendar, initially, I had written February 4th. So I just wanted to find out for sure that that's accurate.
Yes, I'm still,
Looking.
sorry, Chad Schutz, for the record, still chasing that down, so we'll get
Okay.
confirmation on that for you, Ms. Sharon.
Okay. Any other corrections on that?
If you would like to make that change, we can look into it for you and make the change in the minutes if it is the 4th instead of the 24th, or keep them the same, whichever.
Can we put in a proviso to change it later? Or
Yeah.
what's the
You
easiest
can
way to
table
do
your
it,
minutes
Amy?
till the next meeting, or put in that we will research it, and if it is the 4th, we'll change them. But it's totally up to you.
Okay.
Okay.
What would you like to do, Sharon?
Well, I would recommend that we wait until the next meeting to approve them,
Okay.
till we have that accurate.
I'm in favor of that. Does anyone object to tabling the minutes approval until next meeting? Okay. Moving right along. Thank you, everyone. Okay. We are now down to public comment. And I thank everyone for showing up today. I think it's wonderful that the residents and concerned citizens, want to come and express their opinion on the matter. I would like to read something so that everyone is aware, because some of you may or may not have ever been to a MERTF committee meeting or watched it. The responsibilities of of the MERTF committee as posted on the town website, the Marine and Environmental Resource Task Force exists to promote stewardship of marine resources. This includes stopping further damage and rehabilitating Estero Bay and its surrounding waters, wildlife, plant life, and air and water quality. The task force's proposed purpose also involves bringing Estero Bay and its surrounding waters and the Estero Island shoreline to the point that they will continue to be the driving force of the town's economy. The goal is to sustain the quality of life in cooperation with all whose livelihoods or lifestyles depend on the health of Estero Bay. That is our mission statement. On public comment, we're basically bound by the same rules as if this were a town council meeting. Everyone is asked to step forward. You have 3 minutes to give a public comment. We should be courteous. We should be stating if this is my opinion. If you have facts, you should cite the facts and where they came from so that it's not just somebody told me this is going to happen if this happens. So I caution everyone to please base your statements or your comments on either your personal opinion or facts and cite the facts where they came from. With that, full house, we're going to open it up. We did not take names, so I guess we can start just going in the front row and working back. Is there anyone in the front row that would?
May I add something real quick?
Sure.
Just a reminder, so now that discussing Fly Heli is on the agenda, the owner will probably want to talk during that time, I'm
Yes.
guessing. And then there will also be public comment now, and then at the end of the meeting as well. So if you want, think about what you want to say in those ways.
And it's not a two-way conversation. You're allowed to come up, give your comment, and sit down over the 3 minutes. We're not entering into a dialogue back and forth. You're here to express your statement on the agenda item. So,
And we can discuss it.
and then the committee will discuss it once public comment is closed. So with that, again, starting with the front row, is there anyone in the front row that would like to make a comment? Please press the button on the microphone.
I'm Monica Lynn, founder of Pod Protectors of Fort Myers Beach and a local resident. First of all, I wanted to thank Steve Overy for meeting with me last week and listening to my concerns. We had a nice conversation and went out on a boat looking for possibly better locations where he could place his landing barge. At that time, I shared with Steve the same concerns I'm sharing with you today. I've spent 9 years, about 13,000 hours, kayaking on the Back Bay where the landing barge is currently located. I've documented our local dolphins with photos and videos and become familiar with their patterns. This particular area of the bay serves as a haven and nursery for both manatees and dolphins. The federal organization, NOAA, is responsible for protecting dolphins and specifies on its website that helicopters should, quote, avoid landing and taking off near marine mammals on land or in the water. These activities are likely to harass the animals and cause stress, unquote. Steve and others have expressed sincere doubts to me that the helicopter would really affect the dolphins negatively. So I called Dr. Beth Brady, a biologist and specialist in underwater acoustics, who wrote in part, quote, research has demonstrated that low-altitude drone flights can elicit behavioral changes in marine mammals, including dolphins, unquote. She also pointed out that drones operate at about 20 to 40 decibels less than helicopters at takeoff. So this greater level of noise from helicopters taking off in shallow waters is likely to affect dolphins negatively, including, quote, stress responses, potential hearing impairment, disruption of communication, and echolocation. Echolocation enables dolphins to see underwater through referred sound. That kind of noise can temporarily blind them so they can't see to avoid objects. We currently have several recently born dolphin calves that frequent this area. They're vulnerable and depend on communication with their mother to stay safe. Their mothers depend on echolocation to avoid boat propellers and other threats. I am thoroughly convinced by the information provided by scientists and my own experience that both drones and helicopters taking off near dolphins do put them at risk. It appears at this time that there really are no specific laws prohibiting Steve's operation where it is. However, I appreciate that he appears to be open to finding a less invasive location. Doing so before starting operations would build a good rapport with local residents and instill trust. I've seen the support local eco-tours have gained with the public by willingly modifying their tour routes and behaviors around dolphins, doing the most good and least harm, even when it wasn't convenient for them. The benefits to these benefits far outweighed any inconveniences to them. I believe the same would be true for Steve as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Could we please hold any applause? Thank you. Second, is there anyone in the front row that wishes to make a comment?
I do. My name is Barry Allmeyer. I live at 934 St. Carlos Drive. I live directly across from Pink Shell, and I do not want those helicopters flying over my house. Both the black one and the brown one flew right over my house, and I don't want Disneyland at my house, and I have a rental next door, and I do not want the helicopters because of the sound and taking off and landing. For them to make money, they got to constantly take off and land, take off, and they swirl right around over my house. And I'm sorry that I didn't take a video of it. So that's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else in the front row that would like to make a comment at this time? All right, moving to the second row. Is there anyone in the second row that would like to come up and make a comment at the podium? Okay.
My name's Susan Hansen, and I'm a resident at Boardwalk Caper community. And I, along with many people in that community, kayak often. And the dolphins and the manatees are, what people come to Fort Myers Beach to see. And you guys have put up a big sign before the bridge that says, "Welcome to Fort Myers Beach," with 2 dolphins on it. And I'm not like a tree hugger person, and I think there has to be a compromise between our economy that is attracting people and our wildlife that's attracting people. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to have a compromise. We're not here to, Fort Myers Beach is changing, and everyone has to accept the change. And I'm one of those people that, I loved it before, but I also think there's potential to have it be even better than it used to be. And I think that we just need to make a stand now, because if we allow some of these things that are going to threaten our wildlife, then it's just going to snowball, and then we won't be able to make a stand. And then the wildlife that's here that is promoting our economy for everybody is going to be gone. And that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the second row?
My name is Susan Jensen. My husband and I also, as Susan, have a condo for 30-some years at Boardwalk Caper, and I often see Monica as I kayak or we are on our boat. My father had piloted his own helicopter, it was his passion, helicopters. I have wonderful memories of flying with him as he piloted his helicopter in the Chicago area. But and I fully appreciate, they're wonderful, amazing flying machines, but they're also very noisy and dangerous. I have realized that my dad had his helicopter in his industrial area of his factory in an industrial section of Chicago, and he also had it located at a small, like Page Field. I have serious problems with the barge, which we went by in our boat and saw the helicopter flying over, and I agree with Monica and I agree with Susan and everything they've said. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the second row? Okay, keeping order, third row. Anyone in the third row that would like to make a public comment, please step forward.
Good morning. My name is Terry Kane. I'm a 50-year resident on Fort Myers Beach, a former MERTF member, a former council member. I worked for Conservation Lands of Lee County for 15 years, and before all that, I was a waitress at the Lanakai, the Holmes House, and the Pelican. So I've been around a little while. And thank you for this opportunity to speak today. I'm here to provide a very short history, and I better talk faster. In the 1950s, the locals that lived here on the beach, the local fishermen, the sports fishermen, were in the back bay and they realized that their fishing stocks were depleting. So they decided, what are we going to do? We're going to form a conservation group. So they formed a group, cost $1 to join, 4,000 people joined from Fort Myers Beach and Lee County. They started to lobby Tallahassee and said, we need protection for Estero Bay. What can we do? Well, it took lots of years and it took lots of money and lots of visits and peoples in station wagons going to Tallahassee. And finally, Tallahassee got sick of listening to us locals here on Fort Myers Beach. This is who we are. We're a pain in the neck. And they said, okay, we're going to give you to Parks. The Park said, okay, we're going to form an offshore preserve. So then they established Estero Bay Aquatic Preserve. That wasn't the language in those days. It was called an offshore preserve. Well, then everybody around the state was going, wow, if Fort Myers Beach can do this, why can't we? So then a lot of different communities, a lot of different counties started going to Tallahassee. In 1975, the Aquatic Preserve Act was established. Last year, 2025, the state celebrated 50 years of the Aquatic Preserve Act. 2026, Fort Myers Beach will celebrate 60 years of protection of Estero Bay. That's a little bit of who we are. Another fun fact is that the bottom of the bay is state-owned, no matter where you are, even if you're in the Aquatic Preserve or if you're not in the Aquatic Preserve. That's public lands. That's part of my life, that I've protected public lands. And why is this? Because it belongs to all of us. And the bottom of the bay belongs to all of us so that we are not denied the use of the bay. I'm not against business. If you know me and you know my husband, he was in business here for over 40 years. And so you can consider a business on a public land, but there are some caveats that must be taken up. And as I was taught when I was in government, it has to be for the greater good of the community. Is this business a good fit for our community? When you give up public lands, it should be for the greater good. I lobbied in Tallahassee as a council person for us to get the bottom of the bay. We rent the bottom of the bay for our anchorage from the state of Florida. So the bottom of the bay belongs to all of us. We as a town, we have to rent it. So when you give up public lands for the greater good of the community, there needs to be a cost attached to that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else in that row?
Turned it off, sorry. Good morning. My name is Steve Johnson. I'm a resident here on Fort Myers Beach. I'd like to begin by first thanking you for your service on the MERTF Advisory Board. The town certainly appreciates it. I'd like to start really with just a quick story. Over Christmas, we had quite a large amount of family down, and had a beautiful morning back in Helpechny Bay fishing. It's just a serene, tranquil day. Bald eagle, my brother-in-law points up and sees a bald eagle. I mean, it's just gorgeous. You couldn't mistake it. It was so close, you can see the white head, the white tail. And as we sat and watched it, about 15 seconds later, like a shot from a Rambo movie, a helicopter, a chopper comes up from behind the trees, and this eagle just takes off, you know? And everybody said, oh, that's really a shame. Is this common? And I said, well, we're currently in a little bit of an issue with what I would sort of define as an obnoxious commercial intrusion. I don't think anybody's against commercial interests in this town. I think everybody has a right to do that. However, there has to be an appropriate use and match, I think, for certain businesses. As MERTF, Dave did a great job explaining exactly what the charter is, and I think this sits squarely in the center of the charter of what you're here to advise the board to the town council to move forward with. There's still issues. I think this being a high-impact use on the beach, you've got the low-impact operators, the ecotour operators that are being affected by this, I think, with the disturbances to the wildlife. I also think it's might be worthwhile for the MRF board to look into how refueling is going to occur. Are they going to be running hoses out? Are they going to be running jerry cans full of fuel out to the barge to refuel these? I think those all have impact on our community. First and foremost, also, whenever we have a disturbance or let's say a new use or something controversial, I think as advisory boards and as town council people, we have to look at quality of life. The constituents, the residents, the voters of this island are important. Does this increase their quality of life or does it decrease it? And I think in this case, it overwhelmingly decreases the quality of life due to the noise, the invasion of privacy, and the impacts of those rotors constantly twirling. Also, what are the town benefits? Although the town won't participate in objecting to this, what is it actually helping the town? I mean, it's being run from the land. There's shuttles going to it. So is there land use or is there legislation that they could pursue and you can recommend to take care of this? I'm running out of time, so I appreciate your attention to this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the third row?
Me.
Yep.
Okay. Good morning, Cindy Johnson, resident Fort Myers Beach. I also am a former marine mammal, FWC marine mammal volunteer, and also turtle time volunteer for several years, so I have a lot of biological background. I want to kind of add on to Terry's story about the progression of protecting areas and how that can come about. That was a little bit different, that we got to protect the whole bay like that. In this day and age, you have to have species that are declining and sometimes at very low levels that we need to save in order to protect an area. And we don't have that for the dolphin and manatee where that barge currently is. We don't have that protection in that area. But we do have Matanzas Pass Island that is a CWA. Now that island, in 2016, it was created, a CWA, in a critical wildlife area. A CWA isn't able to be created unless there's long-term data and studies stating that these species are in trouble and we need to do something. So in 2016, it was created. In 2018, they put the pilings around it to further protect that area. I think it's an acre total up there. So it's important to understand that we don't want the dolphins and manatee and the shorebirds and the seabirds and the diving birds, which are from Matanzas Pass Island, and the wading birds, which nest on Matanzas Pass Island. We don't want them to further decline before we protect that area, and maybe the town can look into something like that in the future. It's notable to note that the national parks in 2024 put more standards and regulations in on flight over national parks in order to preserve the wildlife and also the experience of the people who visit the national parks. In Destin, in 2014, they had the same issue with helicopters, and it'd be interesting to look more into that. In 2014, they had a helicopter company that wanted to put a barge in their bay, and they fought against it, and they actually had jurisdiction over their bays and were able to stop that from happening. They protected their bays, but they still had the helicopter companies, and I'm running out of time, but in 2024, so that was 2014, over the years, there, of course, were many complaints because of the noise, and in 2024, they finally ended up, the county had given permission for the helicopter to land at the local airport, and they finally were able to take that away to try and preserve a little more quietness up there. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Cindy.
Committee, Bill Veach, for the record, I'm a certified Florida master naturalist. I know that it was really well covered with the effect of the dolphins, because you think how loud these helicopters are, and all that noise goes into the water, and that has to have a detrimental effect on the dolphins. One thing I have real experience in is, what about birds? Because big things that are loud flying overhead completely freaks out birds. For a while, we owned parrots, and there'd be a plane up in the sky, and they would freeze when they saw it. This area is full of birds that their population are declining. Many of them are endangered, and it seems just frivolous for one person's benefit, one company's benefit, to have this adversarial effect on these declining species of endangered birds. The other thing is that the environment and our business are tightly linked on the island. People come here, they want a clean beach, they want wildlife, they want it to be pristine. The idea of these helicopters flying over the water and over neighborhoods every 20 minutes, there was a committee that was formed to object to the RSW flights coming over the south part of the island, just because it was so disturbing for them when they'd be sitting outside trying to enjoy the outdoors, which we all do. The area that they're proposing to fly over in the island is full of residents and vacation renters and businesses. Those will be severely impacted by these flights going overhead. Imagine you're on vacation, you're sitting at your pool, you're trying to read a book, and every 20 minutes a helicopter goes by. Imagine you move down here to enjoy the outdoors, and every 20 minutes there's this loud helicopter going by. This proposal, it hits the trifecta. It's bad for residents, it's bad for businesses, and it's bad for the environment. I would recommend that when you make your recommendation to town council, that you state this very clearly, that this is not in the best interest of the island, it's in the best interest of one business and the detriment to the island. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the third row?
My name is Judy Holsome from the north side of Estero Boulevard. I'm just here with two main things. When I came down and saw the barge, it kind of freaked me out a little. That is the exact area where I kayak, where all the manatees hang out. I mean, thick manatees. When you kayak, you have to be careful about where you're going, because that is where they hang out. Lots of them. So that is very concerning, because now that is there, and that is where the manatees like to be. Number two, noise, noise, noise. It is very loud. I'm listening to it. You can't talk over it, and I'm on shore. So I think sitting next to a heli guy seems very nice. This is not personal. I like helicopter rides, taken them before. I've even taken off from a barge on a helicopter, but it was way far away from residential areas and not in a critical animal area. The baby dolphins are jumping all the time in that bay, especially now, and I'm very concerned about what's going to happen to them. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else in the third row? Going once, going twice, okay. Fourth row, you're up. Anyone in the fourth row?
Is this still on? Yep. Hi, everyone. All right, my name is Lauren, and I've been working on sightseeing and eco-tour boats since 2015 here. Many of those as a captain, and now I run my own charter boat. I have a bachelor in science and marine biology, and I have taught marine science in the Keys, worked at a mammal stranding center in Mississippi, and was employed by NOAA on commercial fishing boats offshore in the Gulf. I can tell you with confidence, Fort Myers Beach is a very special estuary. I like to think that I know this waterway like the back of my hand, but it's always changing, and there's always something new to learn. Humans need to adapt to their environment, otherwise nature always proves us right. With limited time here today, I will not go into detail with the things that are bad for the wildlife and seagrass, but instead try to come up with a solution. I don't agree with this type of business here, but if you're legally allowed to currently run this business here, let's now negotiate where this extra piece goes. We can all look up the laws of the Marine Mammal Protection Act, why manatee zones exist, and the benefits of seagrass and all the troubles that happen when we don't do what we can as humans to keep all of that protected. Wildlife in the nature keeps many tourists coming here, and it deserves our best effort to keep it protected. Manatees and dolphins depend on movement in the water and echolocation to survive in the water. Landing a helicopter on a floating barge comes with vibrations that I believe would disrupt them. I would also imagine that the barge's anchor would drag little by little over those seagrass beds, ripping them out, destroys it from the root, and takes up to 10 years to regrow. I would get into the birds, but I do not think I have enough time for that. I would suggest to move the barge to the bay between Bowditch Point and the Sanibel Bridge, keeping enough distance away from Bunch Beach as well. It's a large open area that the work barges have previously used to anchor in while here for the dredging projects. It would probably require a drip battery charger to allow for a light while anchored at night. This would allow the tour company to pick people up at Punta Rasa as well as Bowditch Point when the docks are fully rebuilt. Plenty of parking as well. I don't think anybody would complain about a 10-minute boat ride to the landing barge. You'll also gain visibility from the Causeway Island traffic. If there was an emergency at landing or takeoff, you are also now away from heavy boat traffic and moored boaters. As for bad weather, that's something all outdoor businesses on Fort Myers Beach face, but generally, most of the time, weather would allow the barge to work as it's intended. Maybe there's an option for a more steady mooring ball or permanent anchor if this all worked. And honestly, if it's too windy or choppy, there's still Peachfield, which was the original address for this to run from. The barge being in a manatee zone is a problem, and moving it from one manatee zone to another does not solve that problem. San Carlos Bay is out of that manatee zone, and I think works to please mostly everyone, homeowners and businesses included. Fort Myers Beach is not hostile to new businesses like you have thought and stated in a letter to the city recently. We actually do like to see them thrive. We do care about the comp plan and general vibe of the island. Large builds outside the comp plan, things that harm the ecosystem. It's not being hostile, it's just being protective. At the end of the day, we are a small barrier island that incorporated in the 90s to remain just that, a small beachy barrier island. Since you've been coming for decades, you know this. If you want your business to thrive, I believe it's the best to work with the residents and business owners. We're not saying don't operate. Some people may say that. But we're just asking you to move the barge and landing zone and listen to those residents and business owners who have been here through the good and bad times. Our manatee zone is important, so are all of us.
Thank you. Anyone else in the last row?
Both microphones work if you want to use that one too.
You scared
All right, sorry. Thank you. My name is Gail Bell. I have been a property owner on San Carlos Island for 30 years. The barge is currently anchored directly across from my property on the opposite side of the bay, and I come here today to share my concerns. The owner of Heli has indicated or has stated that he has a continued commitment to being a responsible environmental and business partner within the community. Unfortunately, what I hear and what I see are two different things. He has chosen to anchor his barge in the middle of San Carlos Bay and Matanzas Pass, near Matanzas Island, which is a state-designated critical wildlife area. The area is clearly marked as a manatee zone and is known as a dolphin nursery. He is next to Bowditch Point Park, which is a resting place for migratory birds. He is across from Bunch Beach Park and Reserve, which encompasses 718 acres. He has chosen to anchor in an area that is predominantly a quiet residential area with beautiful homes on both sides of the bay. I can't imagine a worse location for such an operation. Minimally, it would be best if he would consider another location that wasn't located in a sensitive area. Better if he just left. He said helicopters will be flying at 1,000 feet. If it was that simple, we probably would have fewer concerns. What about takeoff and landings? Did you forget about the flight pattern of birds? Birds fly in and out with different patterns to land, to eat, to nest, to lay their eggs, to raise their young. I do not believe that this complies with the NOAA guidelines. He is correct in saying he is not the only helicopter sharing our airspace, but he is the only one asking to take off and land here. Others are already at their elevation and are less intrusive and less annoying. I have witnessed the training sessions, as they are referred to, for helicopters landing and takeoff. If fully operating, helicopters will be doing so frequently. I'm hearing every 20 minutes. The sound of boat engines is different than a helicopter. He said they're both the same. A healthy sound of a boat engine is music to our ears. It is a sign of a healthy economy for a boating community. The sound of a helicopter is annoying, distracting, and disruptive to humans and wildlife. Most concerning is that it can disorient birds and dolphins. Sound carries across the water, simply put, noise pollution. I can't imagine a worse location for such an operation. We simply must ask ourselves, how can this be environmentally good for our community?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. In the last row, anyone else that would wish to say something?
Hi, my name is Jenny Tardif Paradiso. I live on Palermo Circle. I'm born and raised here. My biggest problem is where the barge is going to be parked. When I was a kid, I was a part of a thing called Project Pod. And what we did is we took out flats boats with a professor from, I believe they were just building FGCU, I think it was. And he would take us out, and we would go out with hydrophones and cameras, and we would listen to the dolphins, we would catalog their dorsal fins, and we turned it all into the state. And my problem is where that barge is the area we called the nursery. And at the time, I might be dating myself here a little, but Picket and Fences was the show on TV. And there was a mom and a baby calf. Picket and Fences is what we named them. And that's where they were all the time. And I actually ran into Monica Lynn the other day, and I told her that as soon as I saw her, because this is crazy. It's a protected area right next door. People live all around there, and that's one of our most valued assets. Yes, this island is changing, but guess what's not changing? Estero Bay, because it's a preserve. How many times do people say to put a bridge through that thing? Never gonna happen. You know why? Because people care. Our economy is tied into those dolphins, those manatees, the birds, all of those things. So I don't see how this is beneficial for anybody, and especially not in that location. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else in the last row? Okay, is there someone that decided not to that would like to say something?
I also have a written statement that was sent in when he's done.
Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Boris Yurkovich. We live on Carlos Circle. And I'd like to expand on the helicopter sound versus the boat sound. The helicopter, we live right by where the barge is at. The helicopter is at full speed full power when it's taking off. Boats are idle when they're driving by. I don't hear any boats in my backyard, but I do hear the helicopters, and it's a nuisance. Furthermore, I'd like you to consider the financial impact that the people on the north side are going to be seeing as people find out that there's a barge there. The resale value for our homes goes down quite a bit, and we didn't sign up for this. So I'd like for you to take that into consideration, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Just a point of order. Anyone else in the audience? Go ahead.
Son. Hi, Mary Juve. I live on San Carlos Island. My question is, why weren't we notified of this? This just showed up 2-3 weeks ago or a month ago, and nobody told us about it. Normally, if we have some county coming in and doing any kind of restoration or any land development in our area, we get a notice. But this just popped up, and we weren't notified, and that seems really odd to me, and wondering who made those decisions without letting us know also. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, one more time. Going once, going twice. Okay, I'm going to close public comment with the exception I need to get clarification from Amy. If a committee person has a letter sent in to him, do they read that at public comment or read it after it's closed?
It was from someone who couldn't be here physically, so they sent the letter to just have me read in their stead.
If you would like him to read it,
okay,
he can.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
All right. So this, This comes from my colleague Beth Brady, who is a doctor and the Director of Science and Conservation for Save the Manatee Club. My name is Dr. Beth Brady. I am the Director of Science and Conservation at Save the Manatee Club. I am writing to express concerns regarding the proposed helicopter landing pad in the waters of Estero Bay. By way of background, my research focuses on underwater acoustics, the study of sound as it relates to manatees, as well as the sound of unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs or drones, or a variety of ecological applications. I have more than 18 years of experience in acoustics research and 5 years of experience working with drones. For background, sound generally does not transmit effectively from air into the water column. A substantial portion of airborne sound wave is reflected at the air-water interface, with only a fraction of transmitted into the water. Although low-intensity sounds such as human conversations would not be expected to transmit into the water column, whereas higher intensity sources such as drones and helicopters are more likely to do so, while UAV sounds do not propagate efficiently from air into water, and noise levels are similar to background noise levels in shallow water habitats. Research has demonstrated that low altitude drone flights can elicit behavior responses in marine mammals, including dolphins and manatees. Given that many consumer and research drones operate at approximately 60 decibels, comparable to a household vacuum cleaner, potential impacts from helicopter noise pose a serious concern. Helicopters at takeoff typically generate sound levels on the order of 80 to 100 decibels, and because each 10 decibel increase represents a tenfold increase in sound intensity, helicopter noise is orders of magnitude louder than drone noise. Such intense sound sources are likely to penetrate the shallow water column of Estero Bay and introduce substantial underwater noise. That's a big word. Noise such as shown to affect marine mammals through behavioral responses such as physiological stress and responses. Potential hearing impairment, disruption of communication and echolocation, and changes in vocalization patterns. For these reasons, we have serious concerns regarding frequent helicopter takeoffs and landings in the bay, as repeated operations would generate intense and reoccurring noise likely to penetrate the shallow water column and negatively affect manatees and other wildlife in the vicinity of the landing pad. Sincerely, Beth Brady.
Okay, thank you.
Can we have that letter, please?
Yes. There are also references on the back where all her information is from. So. Yeah.
And with that, I will close public comment on the issue. And now I would like to ask Steve, if you're in the audience, if you would like to come up and address the committee. Pick a podium of your choice. We do have a copy of the letter you sent in. And again, you can comment on anything there. You can readdress what you had in the letter. It's kind of your podium to talk to the committee.
I appreciate it.
Excuse me just for a moment. Would you like him timed or no?
No.
Members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity for me to speak today. My name is Steve Overy. I'm the owner and operator of the helicopter tour and charter operation here in Fort Myers Beach. I want to be clear from the start, I am here today not because I'm legally required to, but because I choose to be. I believe in engaging with this community, listening to the concerns, and being a part of a responsible solution. For over 20 years, Fort Myers Beach has been a big part of my life. I grew up coming here, I love this island, and I respect both the natural environment and the people who call it home. My goal has never been to simply operate a business, but to be a responsible steward, neighbor, and long-term partner with this community. We have taken environmental concerns very serious from the beginning. We have proactively engaged with environmental stakeholders such as the pod protectors, the Florida Fish and Wildlife, and many more. We are listening, learning, and adjusting where appropriate. We have also made ourselves available with residents and town officials, responding openly and transparently to questions and concerns. Our helicopter operations are conducted legally, safely, and responsibly. We are fully licensed and compliant with the FAA regulations and have reviewed all relevant state, county, and federal requirements. Our operating procedures are designed to minimize environmental impact, avoid sensitive wildlife areas, and operate over water whenever feasible. We do not pursue animals. We do not engage in any activity that would harm or harass dolphins, birds, or marine life. I want to be very clear. We are legally allowed to operate. However, legality is not the ceiling of our standards, it is the floor. We are choosing to go beyond what is legally required because I believe in responsible business means collaboration. I am also committed in developing an emergency response plan with the city of Fort Myers Beach. In the event of a hurricane or an evacuation, my helicopters would be able to assist, providing free flights off the island when needed. This is about using our resources responsibly and giving back when it matters most. That said, I do want to raise an important consideration, not just for my business, but for the future of Fort Myers Beach. If a legally compliant, environmentally conscious small business such as myself can be pushed aside despite good faith, what standard does that set other entrepreneurs who want to invest here, rebuild here, and support this community? I believe this town thrives when environmentalists protect and responsible entrepreneurship work together. Those goals do not have to be conflict. I'm here because I care, I am engaging because I want to, and I am committed to operating in a way that reflects the values of this community while respecting the laws that govern us all. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to continuing a conversation in a constructive and peaceful way. Thanks.
Okay. Just stay up for a minute. Does anyone have any questions at this point in time for Steve? Okay.
I do have a question. So I also went out with Steve on his boat. Have you looked more into the logistics of actually moving the barge from, because it sounds like a lot of the concerns are coming from the location of the barge. Yes, there's concerns about helicopter tours and the sounds and that, and that is a separate part of this question, but moving the barge further closer to the Sanibel Bridge in that bay there, is that something you've looked
absolutely.
into more?
We're not set in stone on that location. We haven't begun tours yet. We haven't done any commercial operations. We're still kind of in the planning phase and working towards the goal. And that's why I'm here. I'm trying to listen to what the concerns are to see what we need to do to, be successful here.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Will, would you like to address the? Don't start the timer for him either.
Will McCannay, Town Manager for the record. And thank you, Dave. I just wanted to be here to mainly to answer committee questions if you have any of me, or that I can direct to staff and get back to you on. I just wanted to say I appreciate everyone coming today. What a great turnout. And I appreciate the committee making this opportunity, for our residents and concerned citizens around the area. And thank you very much to several members of the community who've, been working with Steve and his operation to try and express to him, the environmental concerns that we have that are important to us, very important to this community. I will say that, just to clarify some things, for months, it's a couple months ago, Steve first reached out to us and the town. And we made it clear at that time, and in discussions after that, that he cannot operate within the town, and that where our jurisdiction ends. So really, if he chose to operate outside of the jurisdiction, there were no decisions or non-decisions to be made by the town. So he followed that guidance and set up where he's been doing his training, I believe now. So at the same time, and since then, we've had many discussions with him about, really mostly recommendations that I believe he has followed most of those, if not all, of the other agencies that he needed to reach out to. Agencies being, FAA, which of course he works with on a regular basis, but also Army Corps of Engineers, FWC, FDEP, Lee County, who are the, governing bodies for areas outside of the town of Fort Myers Beach. I believe he has reached out to several of those, if not all. So I'd be interested to hear potentially how those conversations went in further discussions with Steve. But again, seems to be operating outside the jurisdiction of the town of Fort Myers Beach, and we'll continue to provide him advice on how to potentially run his operation if he continues here, so he doesn't violate any of our codes and ordinances within the town of Fort Myers Beach. Happy to take any questions from the committee members, if there are any.
Just one, so
Sure.
technically, where he is located is not under the purview of the town of Fort Myers Beach.
That is correct.
So if he left the barge there, there's no ordinance or anything that the town can do other than voice displeasure.
That is correct. It doesn't mean that if any of my staff, environmental staff, maritime operations staff, or any members, noticed something that was of concern, that potentially did carry over into one of our ordinances, but also their responsibilities to be on the lookout for other violations of any of the agency codes and ordinances that I spoke of. Doesn't mean that we wouldn't take note of that, inform the operator, and inform the agency responsible.
One of the reasons that we discuss as to why the barge is where it's at is because he's currently leaving out of Moss Marine, and that is also where some of the guests that he would be taking out would be meeting and going out there. Where does the town's jurisdiction oversee that type of those things?
Moss Marine has a use, has a land use basically for that purpose.
Okay.
So it's my understanding that Fly Heli has rented a slip at Moss Marine.
Mm-hmm.
It is within the, it's authorized use of that slip to then ferry people out. That's, as long as he's following the use of that particular site, then there's nothing in violation there.
Any other questions for Will? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time. We sincerely appreciate it.
Thanks, committee members. I appreciate it.
Okay. So I will bring that back to the committee and open it up for discussion.
I have a few points that I wanted to make, unless anybody else wants to speak first after hearing everything.
Go ahead.
So the few points that have been brought to my attention that concern me the most about specifically where the barge is, aside from on top of everything else with the mammals and that, in Southwest Florida, we've lost around 80 to 95% of our seagrass beds. That area around the Rookery Island, that is some of the last little bits where the grass is still growing pretty good. So I think it's worth protecting. Putting anything over there that will cast a shadow can be detrimental, especially feeding grounds for manatees. That's where a lot of the fish are nurserying. Outside of the mangroves, those seagrasses are vital. Manatees and turtles grazing in that area, the more obstructions, the more likelihood that they can become entangled, the more likelihood that they're going to be harmed in some way, especially already having that be a manatee zone. If the manatees can't dive to get away from boats because of how shallow it is, there's more likelihood of them and turtles getting hit. Boat strikes are the #2 killer of both those animals in this part of Florida. The laws that are in place to protect the rookery and to protect our wildlife zones, from what I can tell, those were put into place to keep boats away and to keep people away. These laws were not put into place considering that there would be helicopter tours and things of that nature. So speaking with Steve, going out with him, he is going above and beyond the current laws. And he does seem to be like he's trying to follow those and then some. But those laws were put into place for boats, not large vehicles coming from the air. The point that was made was how these birds nest and land, how they react to things being overhead, whether it's far away or not, especially nesting mothers and fathered birds. They will be having less babies because they won't be able to sit on their nests, in my opinion. Also, there's something to be brought in that it is a hope spot under Mission Blue, an organization ran by Sylvia Earle. This Southwest Florida is a hope spot. There's a lot of things that our area could be taking from this if we started to utilize that. And I encourage everyone to look into what a hope spot truly is and what it means for our wildlife, our ecology, and what that can mean for ecotourism and things of that nature. So those are just some things that were brought up and that I've been doing some research on. So not to extend it too much further, but yeah.
Anyone else have any comments?
First, I didn't realize that the town didn't have any jurisdiction in the bay. That kind of sheds a new light on the situation. Being a retired pilot myself, I took a little bit of extra interest in this this past week and did a little bit of research of my own. From what I've read and what I can gather, it's not so much a sound issue as it is a compression issue. It's something I had never given any thought. The noise that you hear from a helicopter overhead, it is sound that it makes decibels. And as the lady pointed out earlier, sound doesn't penetrate the surface of very little sound penetrates the surface of the water. The part that I think everyone should be aware, the wings of a helicopter, the rotating wings of a helicopter create compression. And that's what gives the vehicle lift. And that compression is transferred straight down, and it hits the water. It's like taking a boat paddle and smacking the surface of the water. And that noise is transferred through the water for long distances and would definitely affect any marine life in close proximity. And listening to the gentleman's, what he had to say, he says that he has an interest in the area. He says he wants to be a good neighbor. Maybe Fort Myers may not have any jurisdiction in the bay. They certainly don't have any jurisdiction in the air. The FAA has a requirement of a minimum of 1,000 foot over a congested area for an aircraft. So above 1,000 feet, unfortunately, in my opinion, even though it may be somewhat of a nuisance or you may not want to even hear it at that distance, there's really nothing that can be done about it. He has every right to fly in that airspace. The FAA allows it. There's not any way to restrict the airspace over the town of Fort Myers Beach. But that being said, he stated he wanted to be a good neighbor. So the town may not have any jurisdiction over his business or the rules pertaining to his business, but it's my understanding the floating pad is in close proximity, if not in the area where the nursery area for the dolphins, and also it's an area, a known area of where the manatees are. So I think the thing to do would be to try to enhance this friendship between this gentleman and his company and the town of Fort Myers Beach, and see if there's a way that we can coerce him into moving his operation to an area where the dolphins aren't nesting and the manatees are not in that area. It's the only solution that I see. It's the only avenue forward that I see. If we take an adversarial position towards this gentleman and his company, I don't see being able to work this out in an amicable manner. And so that's something that I would like everyone here. I understand all of your complaints, and I wouldn't want the helipad in my backyard either. And I'm sympathetic to everyone's voice, but at the same token, I think we need to have a direction in which maybe we could find an amicable resolve. Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to, if it's okay with Will, I'd like to ask Curtis a couple of questions if I can. Okay. And I had a brief conversation with Curtis about this earlier, and it's apparent to me, and I kind of echo what both Rob and Ed said, it's a twofold issue. One of it is location of the barge, location of the takeoff, and the second is the noise. So let's concentrate on what we can affect. There are other locations, Curtis, that the barge could be in that possibly could be less invasive to the bird and marine life.
Yes, first of all, for the record, good morning, everyone. My name is Kurt Ludwig. I'm the harbor master for the town of Fort Myers Beach. But Dave, to answer your question, there was a few locations when Steve first came. It came to us and asked us about his business and operating in the back bay, what we asked him is that, so just to be clear, the town does have jurisdiction in the back bay, but the jurisdiction is 1,000 foot from the shoreline out, from the shoreline out 1,000 foot from the island, and that 1,000 foot wraps around the entire 7-mile stretch of the island. And where Steve's barge is right now is he's actually 1,239 yards, feet from the shoreline. So he is well outside our boundary line, as well stated. There are 2 other areas that we have discussed, and that being on once you enter Matanzas Pass, and the channel going down through to enter into Hurricane Bay back there, towards the bridge. We talked about the space outside of that channel on the other side, so kind of more so Muncie Beach side, and in that area, along with if he was going to put the barge where he is now, that we asked him to make sure he is in obviously the depth that he was in, and a fair amount of depth where his barge is not sitting on the sitting on the bottom. And I think for his business, for him to transport his people, that was the shortest side. And then the other recommended spot would be on the other side of Hurricane Bay, back there past Salty Sam's, and to operate back there. But that's a long run for his business as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all the questions. Anyone else have any questions? Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh, actually, I do have a question. If and when the county fixes Bowditch Park,
Yes.
and they get a dock back there, and Steve were to move his pad out to San Carlos Bay,
Yeah.
in front of Bunch Beach, is he allowed to go in and out of there with groups and guests and that to take people out of there?
You're talking about the Lee County docks?
Right.
That would be with Lee County and him too. He would have to consult with them and ask
Okay.
him.
But it would
be Lee County who he would have to ask, because that's their,
Okay.
Bowditch is ran by Lee County, it's county.
Right, I
county
just
owned
didn't
and
know
operated.
if commercial use of those docks was, if you knew if it was legal or not, but, okay. Okay, thank you.
And thank you.
You're welcome.
So concluding that, I just, on my comments on it, I believe, the location of the barge, while legal, is probably not a good place to be, in the spirit of the history of Estero Bay and the protection of the environmental wildlife that's there, both marine and birds. So from my personal feeling, I would strongly ask that a different location be found, if it's with all possible within the purview of Steve and his thing, that could be less invasive to the Estero Bay. It's a very sacred, protected area for the island, and I don't want to use examples, but it's kind of like someone putting in a gentleman's club, and it's legal, or selling, controlled narcotics on the island. If it's legal, is it a smart thing to do? And it's one of those things where I feel that it's while it's legal, the business operator should have a presence and knowledge of the citizenry, and we heard a lot of people today, and I didn't really hear anyone stand up and say, boy, I'd really like to have a helicopter ride on Fort Myers Beach. So I guess from my standpoint, I'm a pro-business guy, I'm a pro-development guy, I've got a business major from a major university, and I think business is what makes the economy turn on the island, but there has to be a balance someplace, and I think that's what we as a committee are looking for, is to try and suggest a balance so that we can all live, prosper, and go forward. And certainly having a barge in a dolphin nursery or right next to it with a helicopter may be legal, but it's probably not the right thing to do. So that's my 2 cents on it. And I would let everyone know that's here and watching, we are an advisory committee. We have zero authority to do anything other than to go to the town council and say, look, we did a lot of research and here's our recommendation. You guys have the ball, it's in your court. We have no control over staff. We have no authoritative power to do anything other than our mission is to advise the town council.
So should we make a motion about how we feel about everything overall, what we think? I mean, even though the town doesn't necessarily have jurisdiction, I feel like it might keep going up to them potentially, and we should probably make a motion about where we're at with it.
How would you like to start?
That's a great question. I guess I would, thinking out loud here, everybody, don't come at me. I would probably want to make a motion in the sense that if the helicopter tours will be going forward, that we strongly suggest they relocate the barge into deeper water, north of Bowditch Park.
I would like to refrain from getting a specific. I would like to say that they work with the town to find a more compatible place for the barge.
Yeah.
How's that?
I like it. I want something to be said in there about the depth.
Well, that would be under the more compatible.
Right.
If you get into the
Schematics of everything,
If you get
yeah.
into the weeds on this thing,
So So if they move forward, I motion that if this gets to town council, that they would look into moving the helicopter landing pad to a more eco and resident-friendly location.
I would second that.
All right.
Okay. Comments?
I have a question, and I'm not adverse to Rob's recommendation, but as it's already been pointed out by Will and brought to everyone's attention, the town literally has zero jurisdiction. So I'm trying to figure out, yes, I guess we can have a recommendation to the public. I can't see how this would wind up in front of council since they have no jurisdiction over the subject at all, other than the public possibly going to a council meeting and bringing it up in public comments.
Well, when you have an issue at a store, you go to the manager. When the manager doesn't handle it, you go to the region manager. So I guess it's just, we're trying to follow this up to the person who can do something. You know what I mean?
And the town hopefully and town staff will continue to work with the company going forward.
Right.
Because he's indicated a desire to do so, and the town has indicated. So all we're doing is advising the town council to work with them to find a more conducive area for the barge that would benefit both. Because obviously they can't do anything to stop it, but they are working with him now, and we would like that relationship to continue. That's why I don't want to get into specifics. If that town council can give staff the direction, and because Will works for the town council, and then the staff reports to Will, and this way we're just kind of giving direction. We may not like it, but if we have it, it's better to try and find that balance and give that direction rather than say, hell no, we don't want this. And then you get into an animosity, and then you get lines drawn, and so on and so forth. And we're trying to find a balance between the business and the thing. Personally, I would love to see them move the barge. I'd love to see them take off on solid land someplace, but that's not my call.
Yeah, I mean, the facts is he's here. He's not breaking any laws, which is why he's still here. He has been more than willing to go out with myself, pod protectors, and others. He's here. He's hearing things. So I don't think he's putting up a wall. And I would like, this hopefully to make it so he'll move freely on his own. That would be ideal. But if that does not happen, then these meetings will probably go up to town council showing the public outcry, and that goes further than that if they can't do anything. So I think it's just kind of starting it out in a strong way of this is what the community is saying. This is the first step to the working together and finding a middle ground.
Well, and I think that's our committee's purpose is to act as a sounding board for the community. That's why we're here. That's why these people are here. We're the sounding board, and we're going back to the town council saying, this is what our committee discovered. Now, there's a lot of facts that came out today. Number one, it's really outside of the town's purview. But number two, the gentleman is here, and he's willing to work with the town and the residents to try and find a balance that may not please everybody, but at least it's a balance. It's better than what we had. And I think that's the direction we're going in.
From what he said to me when we went out, he wants to move it. Ideally, he wants to be out there. So I'm going to stick by his word and hope that he does want to make that happen. And you can just nod. No commercial flights have been started yet. You're not doing tours. You're just doing practices, and you're building the barge, essentially, where it's at. Correct? Yeah. Okay. So, yeah.
So, do we have to reread that, or, restate it, reread it? Okay.
Sorry, no, you're just in discussion. He stated his motion. I'm pretty sure it was clear enough, and you seconded, so.
Okay. So any further discussion on the motion? Okay, with that, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And thank everyone here for being here. And we hope that it shed some information on it. And with that, we're moving on to the next item on our.
There will be another public comment at the end, if you want to say something. I see you're with your hand up. There will be another public comment. There'll be more afterwards. Right, it's at the end. Yeah.
Yes. It's the last item on the agenda, and we have two other items on the agenda that are probably going to take a good hour. So, fair warning. Okay. Sure. We'll take a 5-minute break, 10-minute break. Yeah. Okay. We're coming back into session. So I'm calling the meeting back to order. Hello? People in the back, I'm calling the meeting back to order. Thank you. Okay, public announcement. There are two public comments, one at the beginning of the meeting and one at the end. We have about an hour's worth of agenda to get through before we have our second public comment. So I encourage you, if you want to stay till the end and you wish to make another comment on the entire agenda or what you feel you want to make a statement on, you're more than welcome to stay. We will probably be discussing this next month as well. And so if people want to come next month and make a comment on the helicopter issue, that's fine too. But at this point in time, we're going to be moving on with the agenda items on our MERF committee. So, okay. All right. Moving on down, the comp plan. And for the people that weren't at the last meeting, we had a charge to all of the committee members from the town council in reviewing the comp plan as far as what the charges were made to the MERF committee as outlined in the comp plan. One was to support the eco-friendly tourist activities in the town. And the second was to garner support and information and resident advocacy for a water taxi system. Both of those were outlined in the comp plan as read and approved by the town council. So I had a meeting with Mayor Allers last week, and asked him if he could give us some direction as a committee. And basically what the mayor told us was that as a committee, we should reach out to all of the avenues that are on the island that are considered an eco-tourist friendly operation. And first we have to define what that is, and that's something that a visitor to the island can do that is a renewable resource that doesn't have a footprint that degrades the island resources. Part of that is, for example, going to the beach and simply being on the beach is an eco-tourist activity. The beach is there, the tourists show up, they enjoy a day on the beach, and they go. Now, part of the problem is if we don't have facilities for a mob of people, then it becomes an issue. You need restrooms for a lot of people, otherwise there are issues. So there are those are the challenges that the mayor said, I need you guys to go in as a committee, identify them, list them, get a narrative, and then come back to the council and tell us what can be done, what should be done, what do you recommend to do? Obviously, there's a lot of things. The Mound House is is a eco-friendly tourist activity. The walkway is an eco-friendly, and that's Lee County, but it's there. So he wanted us to go through and get together our list and tell the town how we can promote it. Abby is here as our PIO, and we want to control the narrative, or at least help write the narrative, and say, here's what to do, and here's where you can go to further enjoy Fort Myers Beach, you know, in a responsible, renewable, eco-friendly fashion. And that was outlined in the comp plan, and that's kind of in our committee's purview. So that's what the mayor told me. And is there anyone here on the committee that would like to add anything or whatever, or figure out how we're going to do that?
I think a lot of people are, if we're going eco-friendly wise, since Hurricane Ian, there has been amazing amounts of rebuilding on the human side of things. Maybe focusing on, in your case, you love to talk about the snowy plovers and how well they're doing. So talking about how our ecology is recovering as well, and how we're not just coming back, so are they, kind of the thing. And maybe I know we're going to talk about the Arbor Day, and that playing up to those types of things where we're helping them come back along with you, come see them and play into look who else is coming. I don't know. I feel like there's something there about we're all recovering still, and we're all still regrowing and coming back. And something's to be said about, you know, people say they want a pristine beach. Well, pristine means not touched by people. You know, so those areas that are still wild, like the critical wildlife zone, the Matanzas Pass Park, once those trails are open, those kind of things really show like old Florida, what it used to be before we were here. So maybe bringing more people into those types of things.
So do we want to invite, you know, the Fort Myers Beach Historical Center to come in and give a discussion and presentation, the Mound House, you know, do we want to invite them in and have a meeting where we invite all of the people that have a purview over their operation and address it, and then get other people? Certainly there's, you know, kayaking on the Back Bay is one of the things. I don't know how many kayak launches we have. We used to have one by Mound House. I don't know if it's back yet or not. So those are the things that we can go through and identify and at least begin a narrative and invite the public to come in and invite those people to come in. So if that's a direction we want to take on that, if everybody could kind of put together what your thoughts and ideas are and send them to Chad, and then we can kind of figure out who to invite at the next meeting and just see if we can have an open discussion with those people, because the mayor was very sincere and he said we need to bang the drum a little bit and tell more people that there are more things to do. And he was very passionate about us getting involved and trying to get the verbiage and the narrative. And he said, you guys get to control the narrative on this, and we can release it through the information on the public information officer. And you know, Jackie at the Chamber of Commerce said she'd be more than happy to put a full-blown thing on it. So that was kind of their charge to us. That's what the mayor's direction was. So I guess if everyone's okay, Chad, is that all right with you?
Yes.
Okay.
Rebuilding economy and ecology.
Economy and ecology. So let's send our list in to Chad, and then he can send it out and share it with everyone. And we can reach out to those people and plan on having that at our next meeting. That's for the eco-friendly. Now, the water taxi becomes a whole different issue. And there's a lot of different thoughts about the water taxi on the island. Where is it going to be? Where is it going to stop? Who's going to run it? So on and so forth. Are the residents in favor of something like that? Are they not? So I guess probably the best thing for us to do is put it on an agenda, as an agenda item for 2 months, and go out and say, we'd like to hear what everybody has to say.
And also get an idea where they're docking, like you said, like more information before we make anything.
Before we make anything. Well, for sure, if the marinas aren't in favor of it, then it's gonna be, but you need snook bite, you need, Moss Marine, you need all of the marinas on the island. And then there's, Mound House would certainly be a stop. So and then you have to decide whether you want, water taxis going down canals and stopping off, at certain places.
And what's their purpose? Are they tour boats or are they point A to point B taxis?
They're point A to point B taxis.
I don't know why they'd go down channel or like canals.
Well, like for instance, behind the town hall property.
Oh yeah, I guess even those ports they want to go into.
Well,
Okay.
if you're a water taxi, somebody has to get
Wanna go
on
there, yeah.
If you want to go to Publix, you want to take a water taxi to the Publix, or you want to go downtown or come back.
Yep.
See, there's a lot of different issues.
Yeah, but Dave, my understanding was that they weren't gonna take people to the residence, there were gonna be certain stops that they make to
Correct.
get people around the island,
Correct.
not
Yes.
to their address.
No, but that's what we're trying to discover is
Right.
what do the people, if we're gonna try and do a water taxi, where's it gonna stop, who's it gonna carry, and what's its purpose? And, well, everything costs money.
Well, I mean, when they're gonna taxi from Publix to the next place, they're gonna pay for that.
Well, again, there's grants, there's a lot of different things that can be done.
So we need
And
a lot more information.
We need a
gathered.
lot more information,
Yeah.
but first and foremost is, the mayor said, I want to find out what the information, what the town's feeling is among the residents that are here, which makes all the sense in the world. If you're gonna build a system for the town, you wanna have the majority of the townspeople say, yeah, I like this and I'm gonna support it. If you build something and nobody uses it, it's gonna die a short death. So he said, I think you guys need to take this and find out what the temperature is in the town and what the residents want to say and what they
also the
actually want.
businesses?
And what the businesses will, so,
Where the stops are gonna be.
right, and we can reach out to the, and Jackie on the Chamber of Commerce can help us. We can reach out to the marinas and say, we'd like you to come in, give us your thought on it. And then we can say, here's what we found, present it to the council.
Sure.
The ball's in your court, take it, but this way we get to do a lot of discovery for the town council without going back and tying them up, because part of our job is to work with the best thing, and certainly from a ecological standpoint, the water taxi takes a lot of traffic off the roads, which cuts down on just the
Congestion.
petroleum backflush off the highways that goes into the
Right.
back bay off the streets, so on and so forth. And it's, it's a win-win-win for everyone. So That's kind of the area, and if anybody has an objection on that, I'd like to throw that back on the agenda and kind of open it up for the town to come in and make a comment on it. Ed? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine
Okay.
with it.
I'm okay with that.
Todd?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so that's where we are on the comp plan, and it's gonna be a busy spring, late winter, early spring. And hopefully we get a lot of people. We'll have the majority of Islanders here, both snowbirds and full-time residents that can come in, and hopefully some of just the visiting tourists that would like to come in and comment, if we can get Abby to convince some of them to come in. All right. The MERF operating procedures and goals, next item on the agenda. We all took a look at the operating procedure that the Marine Committee put together, or I'm sorry, lost my piece of paper. It's under here. The Anchorage Advisory Committee put together the report on changing a lot of their purposes, limitations, overviews, responsibilities, so on and so forth. And I gave that to, or I charged everybody last meeting to take a look and see if we want to adopt some, most, or all of this, or what we want to do. We certainly have a very good mission statement that's published on the town website. And just my own personal opinion on it, I think it very clearly spells out what the committee's purview is in the town and what our responsibilities are. I don't know how everyone feels about what they put together. If everyone feels okay and you want me to take a whack at trying to take what they did on the Anchorage Advisory and send it out for the next meeting to look at, or if anybody wants to look at anything and send in a change and we can discuss it. But I don't want to take a lot of time up, but at the same time, I think we need to clarify a little bit about our committee's responsibilities, limitations, and overview for the town, because there's nothing in the town on it other than that brief mission statement. And
I think having something similar to like what they did would be good. But I also feel that what happens in the Anchorage directly affects the ecosystem, and maybe working more hand in hand with them would be a great idea in the future. Both with sending them issues that come to us and them sending issues that come to us. But I mean, what they do is very, specific to the Anchorage, but we oversee that and more. So I think having something similar to how they have it written out is a good idea.
well, and I think that's a great idea. If we designate that in our thing and write it up and put it through, and then say to the town council, we've taken their template and revised it and put in things that are pertinent to the MERF committee.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Because so if you'd like to write that portion up,
I could look
send
into
it
it,
in.
Could I get a copy of this one specifically,
Sure.
please? And then, yeah, I'll take a look at that.
And then the, you know, I'll get, send that down to Chad. Chad, can you have that copied and sent out to everybody?
Yes, sir. Yeah, and then I'll do a first draft and see what you like at the next one.
Yep, and if everyone can take a look at it, and we don't, Chris King, who's the committee chair, said we could steal any, some, or all of that, and bend it and apply it to whatever works for us.
Super, super.
But it's I think having a guide going forward is something critical, and there isn't anything that I could find that really said, here's what the MRF committee is supposed to do.
Okay.
And that's why I had to go to Mayor Allers and say, Mayor, we're mentioned twice in the comp plan. What do you want us to do? Because at this point in time, there's nothing in our thing other than our mission statement. And how do you want us to proceed? And so he gave us kind of a, okay, here's what I want you guys to do, and ladies. And, you know, we're the sounding board for the island to advise the town council. We don't have any authoritative power other than to listen, record, and respond back to the town council with an advisory note that says, here's what we found, here's our opinion on the council, and here's how we'd like you to proceed.
That's good.
So let's put that on the agenda for next month. Please write up and submit to Chad, and then we can discuss it, pull the best of the best, and move forward. Okay. That's that. Members' items. Todd.
I think pretty much I had some questions coming into the meeting, but they've all been answered, I think, pretty well, other than not knowing that we have no authority, you know, the city doesn't, so, as far as the helicopters go.
Yep.
But, no, I think I'm good, thank you.
I'm good, actually. There's enough to think about.
I just want to remind everyone, our local FWC representatives, Brianna and Kylie, are coming to the meeting next month. Rebecca from Lakeland is coming down and going to attend with them to accept, for Brianna and Kylie to accept their MRF awards. And Rebecca wanted to take the opportunity, she wanted to come not only to recognize them, but she wanted to take the opportunity to go over with us their plans starting in the latter part of February and what they're going to be doing for the nesting bird season. And they've got some things, I guess some specifics that they'd like to go over.
Okay. Excellent.
And I don't know if that needs to be an agenda item or if
Yeah,
it's just a.
we have to put it on the agenda.
Okay,
Yes.
well then let me confirm it with her, and then I'll email and let you know. Or
Go to
Chad,
Chad.
yeah, let Chad know.
And then Chad will put it on the agenda, and so noted.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay, I just have one item that I want to bring up. I attended the meeting yesterday at Margaritaville. Mary Torgerson was the sponsoring the event, and we were looking at ways to inform the boaters on Estero Bay and what we can do to control those that are not honoring the no wake zone. And so we had Lee County Sheriff, we had the Auxiliary Coast Guard, we had the Coast Guard, we had FWC Rangers. We had a lot of people. I was there kind of representing condominiums on Fort Myers Beach and the MERTF committee. And we were just trying to figure out ways to get information to go out to the people. And we've got some very, very good ideas. Everybody has the same desire to get the information out. And one of the best things that came out of the meeting is we're going to consolidate as an island, all of the different factions, the condos, the resorts, the marinas, everybody, and in the town with Abby, and project the same message and the same information so that it's not one guy saying, read the signs, one guy saying, here's a map, one guy saying, you know, you should listen to the marina guide when you rent your boat. Everybody's gonna have the same information. We're gonna try and get it on a cell phone so that it's out. We're gonna use the KISS method, keep it simple, and try and project the same information and just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. The Coast Guard Auxiliary said they can put some additional boats on the back bay. They have zero arrest authority, but it's kind of like the squad car in the middle of the median on the interstate with nobody in it. Nobody really knows because the windows are tinted out. But if you got an auxiliary guy in a marked boat, you're not going to be going by the guy 75 miles an hour in your boat, not knowing whether or not the guy's a real Coast Guardie or not. So we had a lot of different conversations, but kudos to Mary for organizing it, sponsoring the event, getting us all together. And it was just, you know, I'm very excited that we've got some positive steps and met some great people, and we're gonna move forward. So I just wanted to let everybody know, and that's coming down the road. And that's all I had. Staff update. Chad, you're up.
Alrighty. Okay, so very happy to announce, if you haven't heard already, we're having a Florida Day event at Bay Oaks. Near the pool area is a good parking spot. We're going to be planting putting the final touches on planting a gumbo limbo tree. That's the town's tree, also known as the tourist tree. So that is, again, Friday, January 16th at 11 a.m. at the Bay Oaks Recreational Center. We'll also, the Estero Island Garden Club sponsored a native tree sapling giveaway. So we'll have some 3-gallon Jatropha's, orange geigers, paradise trees, Dahu and hollies, and southern magnolias, about 10 of each. Quantities are limited, so first come, first serve. We're going to be giving those to property owners only, just so that we can ensure that those trees are planted by people who have permission to plant those trees on their property. We'll be asking for a pledge that they're going to maintain and plant it in location in accordance with, you know, best practices, FPL and Florida Arborist best practices. So, and we'll hand out some literature just to help them with that, similar to what we've done in years past before Hurricane Ian. Also, Miss Kathy said Estero Island Garden Club wanted to commemorate the event as well, and they're going to plant one of those Jatrophas in their garden club garden area at Bay Oaks. So very happy that that event came together, and hope to see all of y'all there. We're working on beautifying the island in general, getting some trees planted at beach accesses. So hopefully in the near future we'll be seeing some sea grape trees, sable palms, maybe some Florida thatch, and fish poison trees. All of those are pretty well salt tolerant, so they should do well over the beach accesses. We're also asking, any condos and beachfront property owners that want more dune plantings or may want some of these salt tolerant trees planted on their property on the beach area behind the berm. If it's a suitable spot, we're happy to talk with them and get some more dune plantings and increase our canopy that got devastated by Hurricane Ian. Also looking at some more canopy trees. We had a grant from FDAX that we're going to be taking advantage of, and more canopy trees to complement all the palms that we did at Bay Oaks. Maybe a jatropha or a holly for a red theme at Lover's Lane, some royal palms, and some flowering trees along North Estero, and some Florida-friendly flowering trees in Wasting Away. So looking forward to getting some green and some color out on the island. We also have a beach truck haul project planned on the south segment on the north side of the CWA. That area didn't get some sand due to the historic pilings that were there. The condo wanted to save those pilings, so we're going to do a surgical truck haul project. I'm told it'll take all of 5 days if they stop for coffee, so it shouldn't be too much of a distraction. The property owners over there really wanted to fill in that area that was left low lying. So we have the funding, we have the permitting in place, so we're going to try and make them happy. And then we're also going to be presenting some another truck haul that on the central segment to council on February 2nd to address some of the scours that were left behind by the contractor, as well as maybe also get some direction from council on reestablishing berms that were washed over and dissipated due to the recent storms that we had. The idea would be to place the berm just waterward of the plantings. It's not, given the beach is already 3-4 feet high, the berm is not going to look like much. Probably like a 2-foot mohill, since the beach is already elevated to that 3-4 NABD elevation. So we'll look for some direction from both council and the public on that. It is a little bit, I'd like to have some buy-in before we start putting in sand. No good deed goes unpunished, so I don't want to do something that's going to upset people, but I think it's the right thing to do to get some additional sand, additional elevation out on the beach, and again, vegetating it, and all of that's on the table. So I just try and get some feedback from the property owners and see what they want to do. But again, we have the money and the permitting in place, so why not take advantage of it? And that's all I got.
I just want to, again, clarify that you're going to make sure that the hazardous waste date in February is not.
Yeah, I don't see anything on the Lee County schedule. I've reached out. I haven't heard back, but I will let you know if y'all have gotten any. If anybody else has gotten something confirmed, please let me know. But I don't see it on the Lee County calendar, and
because
I haven't gotten any feedback from the guys over there. So I'll let you know as soon as I hear back.
And could you let Abby know so that she can
Yes, sir.
blow it out to everyone? So we only get it twice a year, and they have told us it was February 4th
Okay.
in 2026, and I remember that date because I remembered it as 246.
Gotcha.
And so I think it's the date that you gave me and that they gave you and that we've talked about the last couple of meetings was February 4th, 2026.
Yes, I'll get it confirmed for you.
And that's coming up. If that is indeed the date at Bay Oaks, we won't get that in time. We won't, it'll be gone before our meeting shows up. And then we're 6 months down the road. So I want to make sure that gets,
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
okay. Anything else?
No, sir.
All right. For the people that have been waiting here that would like to do another public comment, it's that time in the agenda. I'll open public comment for anyone that would like to make a comment. Please state your name.
Hi, my name is Stefan Kunzel. I'm the owner of Kayak Excursions at Bunch Beach and Pelican Bay over by Fort Myers Beach. I just wanted to kind of I guess, summarize about the helicopter thing, obviously. My thoughts are that, you know, as Mr. Overy said, if he wants to fly, he can do it. He has the legal right to do what he's doing. You know, maybe there's some whatever bird thing or Army Corps or whatever, but as it stands, he has the right to do what he wants. So my opinion is that it should be and he was here, so, you know, he was theoretically listening. You know, if we put up too much of a no, just go away, you can't do anything, it's going to turn into him versus everybody else, and he's going to do what he wants to do. I think it's better to have, you know, a back and forth and say, okay, how can we compromise, whether it be, and really the main thing is, where's the barge, right? That's kind of as you guys have all said, the main contention, I think, here. So I think moving the barge further into the back bay is a terrible idea. I think moving it out to the west of Bowditch, so to the north of Bowditch is essentially Bunch Beach, but to the west of Bowditch, you're not really in open Gulf, you're still in San Carlos Bay, but in the, you know, deeper and kind of further away from shorelines where you have the bird activity and as much dolphin manatee activity. So I think that, you know, hopefully he's not just saying he's willing to do it and is actually willing to do it, but I think working with him, and I understand the town doesn't really have a legal right to say, no, you can't, yes, you can, but I think he is seeking the town's approval, you know, as a business to not be, you know, at odds with the town. So.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
For the record, Terry Kane again. I want to thank you for bringing the helicopter issue forward. And I want to thank you for your vote and the recommendation to the town. Please do not take your vote lightly or your opinions lightly. Do not diminish the power that you do have as a former MERF member. We do have power in what we say, and you represent us as a community, as our community. You may not have jurisdiction right now over this issue, but this issue will continue to go on, and the county is listening, and the state will be listening to how the community feels. And you have expressed that today through listening to the residents, so I thank you for that. This business is not the first to do something like this. A Marine Resources Task Force had a lot to do with a business that came in here many years ago, don't ask me what year, and it was an airboat business who decided to do airboat tours and started to want to go down our canals and our different waterways in the mangroves. The town, we were established as a town in those days, and the county and the town went together to try to figure out how do we approach this. And what happened was that airboat operator was docking his airboat at a slip on Fort Myers Beach, and the town came up with a plan, and the issue was that airboats were no longer allowed to dock on Fort Myers Beach. The neighbors really complained about that because of the noise. The kayakers complained because he was going up and down our little canals in the mangroves and things like that. So, and that issue came forward to the Marine Resources Task Force and was partially solved by Marine Resources Task Force. So I thank you for that, and I do believe that this business has a place, and that would be at Page Field. And I was in a business for many, many years, and I've probably, if I ever added up 40 years of fuel, I probably spent hundreds and thousands of dollars on fuel. So that's what happens. It's the cost of business. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I remember when bungee jumping was at the end of the bridge, so.
Well, people don't believe this one, but we had a zip line that wanted to go from
Yep.
Bunch to Bowditch. So I was reviewing that one.
Okay.
We've had them all.
Thank you.
Wow.
Anyone else? Okay, with that, I will close public comment, and I thank everyone for staying till the end.
I was handed another one. I'm not going to read it, but I'll give it to Amy to put in by Kate Reed. She wanted her feelings on the matter on record. So I'll hand that to Amy to put into file.
Okay, good. All
I
right.
don't know her, so I don't want to read it.
All right. Next on the agenda is the MERF Award. Are there any nominations? Okay, we'll wait till next month and see if there's someone there.
The Garden Club sponsoring saplings.
Garden Club
Oh,
sponsors.
well, there you go. Thank you, Chad.
Just here for
That-
ideas.
I think we could nominate the garden club for the samplings.
I think that's a good
I
idea.
think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
Good job.
yeah, let's
Nice job, Chad. Okay, I'd make a motion that the garden club receive the MERF award for this month for their gracious donation of saplings.
I'll second that. That's a great
Okay.
idea.
Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries.
Good idea.
All right, now, agenda for next month, we kind of covered everything. So I'll have to go through and review it again, but we were all kind of in agreement, so I'll make sure Chad gets that. Does anyone want to add anything?
Can we go through them real quick, Mr. Dave?
We're going to try and invite have an open public comment on water taxis.
For Mound House Historical Society.
We're going to we're going to discuss our operation for the MERF committee. Everyone's going to rewrite or take a look at the Anchorage committee and try and write what they feel would be appropriate for MERF, and we're going to discuss that.
We'll have the FWC.
Is that under
people here.
MERF operations?
Yes. What else did we have? We had the
FWC people coming in for their award.
FWC people are coming in for their award.
Yeah.
And are we still gonna talk about the helicopters, or are we?
I think we can just open public comment up and let anyone that
Discuss
wants
again.
to discuss it. And that should tie us up for a full meeting, I'm sure.
Yeah. The bird thing, Becky and. Yes.
Yeah.
Got that.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to add? Okay, so with that, I will accept a motion to adjourn the meeting.
A motion to adjourn the meeting.
Adjourn the meeting, motion made, seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. It's 12:12, Wednesday, January 14th. The MERF meeting is now adjourned.